A new trick from USCIS that we've never seen before. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States at our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. Now, in order to understand this new trick, you have to understand first how the process works. This is something that we've never seen before, and I couldn't wait to make this video to share it just with you. We're talking about situations where a U.S. citizen marries a foreign national overseas and wants to bring them to the United States. Typically, this involves actions by two agencies. First, USCIS, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service, and then the Department of State, DOS. USCIS's job is to figure out whether or not the marriage is valid. The State Department's job is to figure out whether or not the immigrant gets the visa, whether they are admissible to the United States, and whether they should be granted lawful permanent resident status once they arrive in the United States. That's how it typically works. Now, here's the trick. For the very first time, we've learned that USCIS is conferring and confabbing and checking with the State Department on prior visa applications before deciding whether or not the marriage is valid. How did we find out about this? Well, if you don't know, we have a great show. It's called the Immigration Answer Show. It airs 3 or 4 times every week. And during that show, I answer immigrants' questions for a full hour, and we talk about the immigration issues of the day. Well, last week I got a call from a fellow who received a request for evidence. So he's a foreign national. He's married to a U.S. citizen. And it turns out that before he got married to that U.S. citizen, he had made an application to come to the United States on a visit visa to attend a conference. And that visit visa had ultimately been denied. Now, here's the thing. This is the kind of topic that typically comes up later in the process. This should not impact whether or not he was free to marry, whether the U.S. citizen was free to marry, and whether they have submitted enough evidence. But here's what happened. He had applied for this visit visa. That case got denied. Later, he met a woman online, and they got married after she came to visit him in the home country of Nigeria. She applied for an I-130 application, and this is something that happens every day. So U.S. citizen goes overseas, they get married, and they file to bring their spouse to the United States. Now, as I explained, that application should first be adjudicated, decided by USCIS. It's USCIS's job to figure out if this marriage is real. But what happened here is that before USCIS approved the application, they sent him a request for evidence, and they asked why he had tried for this visit visa, and they're using the fact that he tried for the visit visa as evidence to support their argument that the marriage isn't valid. Now, this is a really, really big deal. I can't tell you enough why it is such a big deal. There's 2 reasons why. The first is that people do this all the time. For years, we've been getting questions from people, and we've come across cases in which a couple is sort of together. They're not sure if they want to get married. They're not sure if they even want to get engaged. And so they try to get a visit visa for the foreign national to come to the United States. This happens all the time. Now, I would tell people, don't try this. This doesn't work, because if you're young and of a marrying age, they think you're coming here to get married, and they're not going to give you that visa. But typically, they've always treated that no harm, no foul. They've never, to my knowledge, used that as evidence that the subsequent marriage isn't valid. So this is a really big deal, because a lot of people try this trick. They try this step, and they think that they're the first ones to figure it out. And now we know that the State Department is starting to use that against the couple when they apply for the actual marriage visa. So that's one big problem. The other reason this is a huge problem is that we now know that the State Department and USCIS are sharing information earlier in the process. That is, the State Department is notifying USCIS, hey, this person that you are thinking about giving an I-130 approval notice to, this foreign national that your U.S. citizen has applied for, we want you to know, USCIS, before you decide whether the marriage is valid, that this person had made a visit visa application. And they're using it to send out RFEs and to perhaps delay the case or even deny the case. This is a big shift in the way that they share information and in the way that they process these cases with requests for evidence now. This is going to cause a huge problem for lots and lots of people. So we wanted to make this video. So you need to understand the consequences of this. You need to understand what might happen if your visit visa is denied, you need to understand that this might impact your ability to come to the United States after having married a U.S. citizen. Now, you may say to yourself, well, this is just a one-off case. This is the first time you've heard about it. Yeah, that's true. And you might also be saying that the State Department might have picked on this fellow because the spouse and he got married on her very first visit to the United States. That's true too. And you might even say, well, we know that immigration fraud is a real issue in Nigeria at the moment, and that this is a special case because this fellow is from Nigeria. All those things might be true. But what I've learned over the years in watching USCIS is that when they try a new maneuver once, they tend to like it. And if they like it, they tend to expand it and they use it on a broader basis. And I think that is what might happen here. I think you got to be ready for the fact that you might get questioned about visit visas, prior applications, and denials. So you got to be ready, you got to be smart, and you have to always have a comprehensive plan for what it is that you want to get accomplished. And you need to see the whole picture. And now we know that not only is the State Department going back to look at prior visit visa applications, but they're feeding that information to USCIS before the I-130 is even decided. It's a big deal. I hope you understand it. If you have any questions about it, you can give us a call at 314-961-8200, or you can join us on that Immigration Answer show that I discussed. We're on there usually Monday through Thursday for an hour each day. And then we have our Immigrant Home Facebook group and our YouTube channel. And whenever we make new videos, we upload them both to Facebook and to our YouTube channel. So you should be sure to subscribe, and that's the best way to get notified when we're going live. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise, have a great day.